Hapa Howlings, a companion book of poetry to Ching Chong Faggot by Timmy Hayes. Me. Introduction. I view art as a kind of way to map out a person's subconscious. There are many different kinds of art and they reveal different facets of our internal worlds. I feel that books are a great way to communicate these internal worlds in a kind of direct manner. Movies, videos, music, paintings, and other forms of art are all great in their own ways, but something about reading is different because it allows the reader to use their own consciousness's voice to absorb the information presented to them. I wrote Hapa Howlings while I was writing Ching Chong Faggot. Every time I sat down to write a new paragraph or a new section, I would start by adding a poem to Hapa Howlings. I see Ching Chong Faggot as a kind of record of my thoughts surrounding various experiences in my life. Hapa Howlings is different than its companion book because there is no real thought to it beyond its structure. I told myself that I would follow a general structure of 5 stanzas of 4 lines per poem and end each poem with an extra 2 lines. Most of the poems follow this structure with some straying from it, but beyond that foundation they are all completely stream of consciousness. I rarely follow rhyme schemes because I prefer this stream of consciousness type writing in poetry. I understand that in the old days poetry was more musical and followed somewhat strict rhyme schemes because recorded music wasn't available, and poetry served a dual function of being both pretty and meaningful. I saved my efforts for rhyming and rhythm for my music and let my poems be as free as possible. My first book of poetry, Vibes from Hell, was far more experimental and free in structure. For this book, I still wanted to use free verse and be as honest as possible about my emotional states, but I feel that as I age, I do prefer some structure over complete freedom. In my daily life, I am somewhat disciplined and orderly about certain things, while simultaneously being somewhat disorganized and scattered about many other things. I use apps that track my mood and schedule. I follow a certain pattern of activity and exercise, and I even spend my free time following routines. I wanted my writing to reflect this kind of maturity from the complete chaos of my adolescent writings. The patterns of familiarity appeal to my longing for security and predictability. There's not much else to say about the book beyond what's written in it. I am happy with it because, like all my other creations, it's honest. I feel that it reflects my internal world and the things I really felt while I was reviewing parts of my life. I hope that whoever reads it can get something out of it, but even if they don't, it's okay because I've gotten enough out of writing it. I guess that's why I create anyways, because I feel fucked up if I don't. The best response to "me too" is "I will." Let's be honest. Forced copulation is beneficial in terms of pure propagation. There was never such a thing as consent until it became apparent that seduction is a benefit. Women are never safe anywhere. The threat of rape always lurks there, dormant beneath all interactions, predators seeking to compete and overtake. But then the civil man was born. He is here now, and he has seen those that cry out, "Me too, me too, me too." He responds in kind, "I will, I will, I will." For he knows that he has done wrong. He knows that he is at heart only a beast. But he knows that civilization must evolve. Violence and forced copulation and overpowering and rape. These are tools for the wretched and uncouth, for the fools that beg to be called. First kiss. I was around 8 years old. My best friend was Jay. He was a spoiled, chubby white boy. We would pretend to be married. Just kids playing games. Sitting in the back of my parents' car. I forget who was the mom and who was the dad. Then we kissed. Just a little peck. And we immediately reeled away from each other. And Jay screamed really loud, "Ew!" Later, at a sleepover, I showed Jay my penis. I don't know why. Maybe I thought it would be funny. He screamed and said, "Ew!" Then told his mom. She called my parents, and the next day they scolded me. I wasn't badly punished and was left confused. I didn't think it was a big deal. I didn't understand why Jay screamed and told his mom. What a disappointing first kiss. Childhood days. Waking up early with my brother, running out the door across the living room, quietly creeping into our parents' bedroom. We gently nudge them. They moan groggily. We whisper, barely audible, "Can we play video games?" Mom flips over on the other side across, says nothing. Dad whispers, eyes still closed, Go play video games." We run out, wrapped in excitement. The TV comes on, lights the room, envelops us. A world of colors and sounds, fantasy and dreams come to life. Ocarinas and fairies and swords and lasers. They move at the touch of a button, at the twitch of a finger, feeding my brain with better days, feeding and feeding and feeding my brain. Interfacer. Welcome to manhood at the ripe old age of 18. I'm just a boy! Just a little boy! I don't know how to do anything! Why are you doing this to me? Everything hurts! Why? 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 Plastic and people surround the young man. He is full of pubescent ache, lust and longing. A cold breeze stirs his loins. He sees the beautiful one. She stands in the moonlight. Under her clothes, he knows, she is sculpted perfect. Yet she turns away from him, just like in a silver dream. The ocean, she cries out in anguish, her waves becoming the sky. Blue upon blue, and coldness sweeps over him, a chaos of unending splendor. He falls into the turning pages of a screaming cosmos that enfolds him as eternity captured within his story. I'm just a boy, he murmurs to himself, drags a steak knife across his wrist, watches it bleed. He weeps at his loss of freedom, knowing he must be part of the machine that has pre-programmed his life to be one of incessant want and need. I just want sex and freedom and pleasure and good things. I just want comfort and love and those that I hate to be destroyed. I'm just a boy, can't you see? I'm just a little boy, just a little boy, a fucking boy. He screams out to nothing at all. When I think of my father's death, there is a vast desert, like a beach full of white sand, but the dunes are towering and smooth. There is no water anywhere. I am running, and the sun is unyielding. Memories, indistinct, flash with the sun's rays. I was just a child, and we walked in a true desert, our shirts wrapped around our heads. Who were you in this life? That I came from your DNA to wrap itself around my life. It's so strange. My entire life you were there, but I was once not there for your life, and now you are not here for mine. I saw pieces of your past through who you were to me. Did you see pieces of who I am now? Everything that was you has been lost, but influence and memories and pain. What a way to blink out of life. What a way to stay. You were there since birth, and I was there until death. That's the correct order of things. I fucking guess. Depression number 3. Soft rains come down within me. Paint my inner land's pillow muted gray. Pulse of a non-colored world. Here is your light, the light of another day. The light that goes out before night. The night is cold and long. Even in the arms of a lover, there is no respite. Hello again, my old friend, death's little cousin, or some other sad reflection. I remember you all too well. If I could just shed this life, I could be at peace, or live like a king enveloped by royalty. Would that make me happy, or would it be the same thing? I'm tired, but there is no rest in sleep. The Mixed Teen. I hated my eyes, slanty and triangular, symptom of my race, symptom of our hate. I would tell the other teens, but I have a white penis, so it's not small, and wish I wasn't so weak. At any moment it felt they would turn into raving, mad monsters, use me as prey. I was alone. The white, the black, and the brown, they would stare at me and scoff. And the other Asians were wary, Koreans doubly so. Hierarchy upon hierarchy, racial and sexual castes. It's so exhausting. When will I be free? Squid Game and Parasite. So close to my need for the luxurious and depraved. How nice it would be to say, "Do not eat me." Steven Tyler sang it, "Eat the Rich," on Get a Grip. He's only relevant for being a judge. What a struggle it must be to be the zenith of rock and roll love. And here I am, 10 years now in, working and working, my body slowly drying out from starving of the sun. I am a pale Dracula, and I loved it. Now I'm dying and dying and dying. And even the smallest irritants infuriate me so. I am ruined in this life. I want to cash out with what I got. Early in the morning, out by the night. There is nothing without work, but the worth of work isn't much. K is the man I have hated most in my life, for he is the depravity of pompous authority. My manager yelled at me today. He screamed at me in front of the entire office, said, "You dare quote the handbook at me?" It was one of the most infuriating and humiliating moments of my life. Something trivial. He had sent me an email asking why I requested a shift change, directly to a supervisor instead of to a coworker. I replied back and said, "Dear Mr. K, according to the handbook," then the quote from the handbook. He screamed at me to get in his office, screamed at me and demanded to see my employee handbook, which I had filled with highlighted sections I found useful, that I was studying to be a better employee. I will never forget him and that moment, nor will I forget the next day when he denied yelling and accused me of being overly defensive. Then he told me a story about a law that forced people to wait before receiving a gun purchase, to keep people from killing each other out of anger. In his mind, my insolence in quoting the handbook merited the same anger that was required for murder. Woke up. I had hair down to my nipples when I started working at the hotel. They told me I had to cut it because it was unprofessional. I accepted this without protest. I didn't realize it was just another way to control me. Even when I grew a mustache, they told me I had to shave it, though 2 black coworkers had full goatees, and one had a mohawk. That's when I began to realize. I was told by Kay the manager, how ironic that he, a Korean American, said to me, "Don't talk about racial discrimination. It never goes anywhere good," when I said I felt I was being targeted for being Asian. He didn't tell me to cut it again after that, though he would tell me, and only me, to get a haircut or trim my mustache occasionally. until they hired Jay, a white boy with blonde hair down to his chest. I posted on r curly hair on Reddit that I was growing my hair out, that a white boy had been hired and they allowed him to have long hair when they hadn't allowed me. So many users called me a liar or said he must have worked there longer. But I had worked there for 6 years, and he was a new and inexperienced hire. That's when I woke up and saw my entire life experiences spilling from my cut locks, all the traumas and incomprehensible moments I had endured by those that hated my slanted eyes. That's when I saw all the lies it meant to be a minority in the wild Western world. Our Asian identity. A beautiful stallion ran past me, kicking up dust on these wild plains. Before I knew it, I was giving chase, whooping loudly in sheer exuberance. It circled back around, its luscious mane flowing in the wind, enticing me to grab a hold. So I made a leap towards it, but it reared up, kicked me down, and screamed in my face with a spat. "Fucking WMAF, Hapa scum!" I doubled over in agony, clutching at the deep bruise it left, and I watched it sprint away as the sun set. It lingered on the edge of my vision, a vague silhouette. I tried to look away. I told myself it was an evil mare belonging to the dark night. But then the sun rose, and my bruise was healed, and I can't help but look and see its strength, so I approach it again, more slowly this time, reaching out. That shithead supervisor said he might move my schedule to work during the day today. I'm so tired all the time. Every single day, I never get enough sleep. I want to sleep, but the thought of working during the day instantly makes my heart beat faster, and I remember the stress of a busy workplace, and worse, when I was yelled at, harassed, assaulted. I feel trapped. Working at night is killing me. I feel it draining my body of romance, of energy, vitality, of grace. But the graveyard shift is where I feel comfortable dying. Even this poem I'm writing now at work. I understand the luxury I have now. 8.5 hours of being virtually alone in an empty office. I don't make much money, but it's enough to get by. There's never a truly busy night, not like the days I used to work, but the days are hard. My days off, I mean. When I have someone to meet, an appointment to get to, or just can't sleep. But what choice do I have? Find a new job and deal with the stress of moving and a new workplace? Work during the day here again and deal with harassment and discrimination? I just want to cash out my savings and quit. Kill myself when I've run out. Life's too expensive to really enjoy anyways. Productivity. I went to school for most of my life, not questioning why I had to wake up before 7 a.m., get home in the evening, and do homework. My mother would drive us to soccer practice, then violin, piano, cello, and other extracurriculars. No TV or video games on the weekdays. So I read books to pass the time. During summer breaks, we studied. SAT prep courses came later. My mother would quiz us on vocabulary on car rides to school. I graduated high school with a GPA of around 3.6, then failed my first year at the University of Washington. I regularly skipped class and instead smoked as much weed as possible. I found relief in weed. I got my first job as a door-to-door salesman. I sold weed to my friends. I needed money for more weed. I hated school, and I realized I never wanted to be a doctor, to go to school 10 more years. I just wanted to make music and get high. And I realized that for the first time in my life. It's ironic that now I push myself to study, to exercise, to produce writing, like I'm doing now. I know that only death awaits me at the end, but I still feel without meaning when I don't do. Evolution seems both miraculous and deeply flawed. My body hurts all the time, but I got my blood tested and the doctor says I'm fine. I woke up the other night screaming because of a pain in my lower right side. A pain that came from nowhere, like a pulled muscle or some such, that happened in my sleep. How lame is that? I'm only 28 years old, but I already feel life dragging away at me. My muscles are always sore, the joints in my hands stiff and unwieldy. Millions of years of mutations propagating into this. It's crazy that anything exists at all. Yet I can't help but feel some resentment. To evolve consciousness is to evolve suffering. What is so worth it to be alive that is only revealed through pleasure and dreams? Then there are those that tell themselves lies, to forgive themselves that they are not puppets of meat. I accept that I am a cell within some great moving beast, that we are tendrils to a superparticle that exploded. In this moment, I can see that even my pain and discomfort, from the perspective of a god, is a kind of gift. I never thought it'd all last this long. One silver lock of your hair, carried upon the thin, cool breeze that enfolds us closer. And oh God, how I can feel you. Just one more hope to bring me crashing down to my knees, hard against unforgiving concrete. The sight of us driving away breaks me. And then I realize you were but a fever dream, illusory callings to an already depleted reservoir. It was 5 years for me to forget you, 5 more to bring me here writing this cold and heartless. I haven't cared about you in so long now, living my life realizing I am but fickle, fleeting need. The need of you is the need of this moment, excruciating desire named as lust and love, and oh God, I want, I want, I want. The gods heed him once and laugh, remembering finally their forgotten children. Casually, they call hellfire to rain down as meteors. The worm is blinked out in an instant. And so it goes. The banality of all things, even utter destruction, even this angst. How dull, how long. Memories of fighting. At the time, it all felt so important. I can't even remember now. All the things we fought about. Only the yelling and the tears. I remember some things, both good and bad. I remember the sex, the feeling of losing myself to you. It's funny, but the hardest thing to recall is the hopelessness. I remember it like a faded movie clip, but the feeling is distant. Maybe because it was more of a constant, not a triggered emotion sprung from an event. Maybe because we never really fought over what was truly broken between us. I'm living better now, I know, because I don't feel like every day is a fight against myself to lie and say what we have is good. I'm not sure. I try to be as honest with myself as possible. I know that even the voice in my head can lie, even when no one else could hear it. It protects us most of the time, but sometimes it just complicates, makes things seem murky and strange. And while I'm swimming through the fog, I chase flitting shadows and flickering lights, telling myself that safety awaits. Just a few more steps and I'll be in the clear again. Maybe even the fog is more than confusion, because visibility is important, and the fact that I am robbed of a sense is the answer that I need. But I would like to dwell a little longer here in the unknown, because sometimes you have to dive deep, swim down into the dark to find hidden treasure. Down, 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 way down below. Why do we fight for a better tomorrow? I was thrust into this world, not knowing its vain machinations, indoctrinated into lies and mysticism, some white god screaming fire and rage and floodwater. As I learn more about the cosmos, I realize how little I know, how little I am, how narcissistic they are who clutch to themselves. And I see those I am bound to by blood. I see myself bound by my human form. There is frustration and rage and angst, but there is also joy and pleasure. I would like to fly high as I can into a world of dreams and softs, to be free in the realm of possibilities, wrenched away from this place. This place that will never be enough unless the universe opens itself to me. I hate money, I hate war, I hate religion, I hate being dominated. I have hated far more in my life than I have loved. I am very tired and would like to be something more. Cocaine makes my heart beat too fast. What happened to your rockstar dreams, Timmy Hayes? You wanted to be the next Jimi Hendrix or John Lennon, but now you're like you were as a child, reading and reading and reading and reading. Books as an entrance to the mind, staring at print, hallucinating whole universes, weird abstractions. Peyote and weed and meth and heroin and everything I've done. What was it all for, I wonder myself? Because I wouldn't say it was just for fun. The worm lives inside me. It grows spines and spirals into my intestines, slithers up into my brain, shits out a graph like rainbows. I watch my brains float in the winter night, rent a jagged hole in the air. Cosmic horrors stare at me, chuckle at my naive narcissism. You are nothing, but you are you, and that is all that matters. I would like comfort and luxury. That is all. But physical and mental comfort is different, right? There are things to live for despite. I hate myself sometimes. I hate the sound of my voice, my face, my short height, my penis, every inch of me. Even my smell and the way I act especially. I get stuck in my hate. It eats away at me and crawls all over, tickling my nerves until they're screaming, and my soul begs me to free it from its mortal shell. To shed my body away would be heavenly, I think, in these moments. To fly away from all that I have ever felt or known, every pain, every mistake, every hope, every joy. The last time I was really going to kill myself, I climbed up to the 13th story of a skyscraper, stuck half my body out the window face first. I stared at the ground and dangled there, feeling the cold night wind. I didn't even think, I just knew that these were my final moments. But as I dangled there, suddenly I remembered a moment with a girl, standing on a hill under moonlight washing over everything, cold waves from the ocean lapping at the shore. With that memory, 1,000 more spilled into my mind, little things I desired. I guess I may be a fool for wanting better or believing in better, but I do. So I stay because I have felt pleasure here. I cling to life through mundanity and anguish because it seems worth it. Anger is a gift. Why the fuck should I have sympathy for you after everything you did to me? The humiliations and the harassments. I don't give a fuck about your mother and her health problems. In fact, I'm spitting fire and blood at you. I would love her to melt, her face swollen and blue, so you can feel a fraction of the hate I felt. For nature must right these wrongs. If it cannot right its injustices, I will embrace the scream inside and say fuck you. I hope everything you ever loved dies. The laws that bind me to this place, everything that pours out from my face. You cannot begin to imagine what I truly am. Not even a man, not even a human. Why the fuck should I love those that have disregarded and abused me? Turn the other cheek. Don't lie. Forgive their sins, they seethe. Christianity breeds deferential complacency. Only for the weak and the meek and the ones that believe. Indoctrinated me once did, because I saw only their lies. I shall never believe in your slavery. For those about to walk into the gates of hell itself, we salute you, O warriors of hate. Embrace being consumed. Don't touch me. I don't like being touched. When I was in high school, before hashtag me too, I thought it was funny to harass people, to touch them when it was unwanted. I suppose I deserve it in a karmic kind of sense. What happened to me later, when I started working here and was constantly harassed. After the assistant manager pushed my head with both hands, shoved his crotch on my left shoulder, continually touched me even after I said not to repeatedly, I finally went to human resources. They knew. They all knew the sexual harassment and bullying that went on. Multiple complaints had been filed against him. He would get a slap on the wrist and nothing done. He backed off for a while, then kept putting his greasy hands on my shoulders while trying to seduce the teens in the office. After that, even worse. The main manager who knew would come and fix my jacket. Then the main boss of the hotel, crusty old white fucker, who also lured a young hot Korean bartender from the hotel's bar to his room with the promise of a better job. He acted like he was giving me a massage painful in the office, then punched my spine hard enough to bruise, like it was a joke, like we were buddies playing sports together. I wanted to turn around and rip his throat open. Then later he took off his mask during peak pandemic season, gave a speech when Sharp came to warn against sexual assault. He talked about how bad quid pro quo was in front of all the employees. All I can think is, how dare they? I hate them all so much, even my past self for letting them treat me like that. Life is too long. I guess it's been years since I've done this. This whole fucking thing. Work, 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 work. Clock in comes too fast and clock out too slow. I'm tired of this fucking place. I see that society can be mainly automated. We don't have to really work. It's only because most people want to control. Control along religious and racial lines. It's all fucking bullshit anyways. What answer can be bought in the face of those that know only what's here in this place? This place of the vapid and visceral, never knowing and never questioning, so self-absorbed and self-contained, never learning and always playing the same game. What curse it is to be but a base ape, lowly human that toils in the name of the one that rules us all. We could be great or nothing floating down the drain. I'm tired of this fucking place, but I can't seem to stop. Fever pitch growing, I'm running and running, never seem to get anywhere. Glowing rivers of sound that drown eons. Shadow world of dreams, blinking digital reprieves. My long-lost love is found in sleep. What a curse it is to even be in luxury. I just want to sleep and sleep and sleep. Forget this world and all its nightmarish things. Hapa Howlings. Howl and howl and howl. Howl at the moon and it cares not. Howl at the sun and it cares not. Both will watch death and rape and disease and rot. Stare at the world and watch. Watch them run around and scream, all of them in perfect dissonant harmony. Here is the world and all its failings. The stars are screaming in time to ours, one scream and two screams in sync. Or maybe they are not. How can you tell? It is a lie to say you know any cosmic truth. The universe is large and spirals away, glittering nebulas and blinding supernovae. Yet here we are drowning and drowning in the inked traditions that only say, "Hello there, young one, little one, owned by money. From birth we own you, from birth you stay. In this little pocket of this endless universe, to dwell in blood and sweat and tears and toil. Here you may howl, and there we may hear you, only as far as your voice carries, but ripples dissipate and become virtually nothing but a single shimmer joined by itself. How frustrating it is to howl at nothing and no one. But we cannot help it. We must howl and howl and howl. We beg you, please, oh fucking please, feel it. Feel me howl. I'm going slightly mad. Everything feels like too much. I'm sitting here just typing on a keyboard, staring at a computer screen, but my head feels like an explosion. Even inhabiting this body is like glass shards bursting into soft tissue, shredded pieces of flesh raining down, the world coated in entrails. My nerves scream out in white, flashing pain. My mind is torn asunder into a million pieces. All I'm doing is sitting here typing. Why is just existing so hard? Everything I could be and everything I could not be crumbles here at my fingertips. I am held back by my circumstances, my body, my mind, myself. I can't see anything in front of me. There's nothing there at all. The early one. What is it to be chained to the system? To live as a slave for the whims of those with power? The nature of power being encapsulated by money, money being propagated by old connections and deference. What if I could go back in time, to the very beginning when Homo sapiens first pounded its mean, dirty steps, out from its ape-like ancestors' evolutionary branches? Could I see the inextricable paths that would lead to all this? Could I capitalize on its time and possibilities, and tell my greatest forefather, kill that one, and have sex with that one so I can be free? Then I suppose I could be a king, free from the drudgery of clocking in and out, above the petty taunts and degradations, for having eyes that look like mine. I can't believe I used to be like that, making jokes about Asians, about having a small penis and small eyes, just to fit in. Isn't it chilling that that's the norm? These degrading jokes to subjugate a whole race of people. White is right and black is might. Where does that leave me? Just screaming for a piece of the pie. Give me my possibilities. I've done my time. Billions and billions and the sorrow of r/anti-work. Biden raised the minimum wage for DoD employees to $15 an hour. On Reddit, people were shocked and asking, "What? DoD employees make less?" I do. I got my first raise in 7 years today for 3%, and now it's up to $12.46 an hour. I've been working 10 years now, a decade of my life. Assuming one works from 18 to 65 years old, it's about a fifth of the way to retirement and then 15 years left to live, of being old and run down. I'm so tired. Tired of living in a tiny studio apartment, of worrying if I'll be able to afford health care. Tired of being on the brink of poverty. So many things out of reach. A house? Out of the question. A car? Laughable. Even if I have the bare cash or assets, it's not affordable. Inflation is higher than ever, and the financial markets strangle us. It's worse in the private sectors. No time off, and even with health insurance, people can't afford healthcare costs. Student loans are a fucking Ponzi scheme joke. Put people into insurmountable debt. Strangle them with health costs, mortgage, rent, car payments, general cost of living. Where is the light at the end of the tunnel? Where is the rewards we are promised for hard work? Instead, I see now the villains. Bill Gates, Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, Donald Trump, Steve Jobs, Mark Zuckerberg, Ken Griffin, Jeffrey Epstein. Parasites gaming the system, sucking us dry. Who lives the good life? What a rich history is hidden within each person in this world. Epics of victories, losses, joys, sorrows. Cultures of diverse food, music, dance, fighting, love. What a shame that we are reduced to our surface appearance. That one will look upon a person and tell themselves, they are a white, a black, a yellow, a brown, and they are like my preconceived notions of that color. What a testament to our mean and stupid nature, that we cannot figure out how to relieve the pressures of society, to feed the hungry and to clothe the poor, to say you are as valuable as you are. We categorize just like in Brave New World, but the cruel part is most of us are built the same. We may be slightly different in some terms, but there is no significant difference in the average human. The worth of a life is a tragedy, the worth of a people even more so. That they may be swept away by these troubled tides, inundated by a world of cosmic restlessness. When shall we be free? When we shall cease to be. Let them be as ants swarming. Only the lucky survive, but everyone dies. Circulatory respiration. Memories on the edge of my mind. Dream lights flashing thoughts all through time. Longing love lost by the teardrop's soft trust. Laughter shining the moment's last dust. You can breathe just here alone with me. When we can be the somber waves of the sea. Lovelorn called back to this lost isle. Is it heaven just to see your wayward smile? Come back and find me, it is here that I am. Draw me close and closer with no preconceived plan. No ire and folly to keep us these eons apart. We are here now as we make this our start. Newborns cooing in graveyard decays. Red and gold embers explode soft sunlit days. One fractured song to sing out that troubled soul. Far away, too far to go paying a single toll. Tragedy be the paint of a life supposedly lived, celebrated to be part of this parting gift. Nomads of being glowing, bright by dark nights, roaming through this single everlasting flight. Here we are, we sing once more, no more, for there is no need we embrace forlorn. We are the one, but I need you too. Sing me again, lest I be that muttering fool. Sing me again, for I need you. Sing you again and know that this is the truth. Depression number 4. I'm starting to become more conscious of it. Exactly when I start feeling like life is just an endless cycle of exhaustion and mundanity, and that dying would be easiest. It only took me until now. I'm 28 years old, still young, I suppose. So why does life feel endless? But there is great comfort in knowing it will end. Realizing that fact is a kind of relief. I am only a limited human. There is only so much I can do and learn. So sometimes it's okay to take a step back and tell yourself, today I feel like shit. Today I'm going to live like a piece of shit. And lay in bed eating chips, watching dumb TV that doesn't mean anything, masturbate too much, fart loudly, and then little by little, take a shower, clean your room, do what excites you. The feeling passes. I'm only human. Take your time. What is a perfect world? A world where everyone is equal. A world where robots do everything for us. Something different than what we have now. I would like to see a better world than today. But to be honest, I live okay. I have food, a place with enough space, I'm safe. Even my job allows me enough free time to write this. So why am I never satisfied? Why do I see people with more than me, and my insides just scream, I want what you have? The thought that others have more freedom, more luxury than me is excruciating. I want the pampering, the healthcare, the clout, the time. I want the time. No obligation, no invisible chains to a wage. Just the freedom to go anywhere I want and do anything. And the crux of it all, the power to bend others to your bidding. That is the problem with the perfect world for me. It can never be a perfect world for you. We aren't robots after all. Exhausting. I just want to look at dumb shit online. So I scroll trending on Reddit and I see so many threads full of racism towards blacks, gypsies, and Asians. When does it end? When does it end? I just want to relax, but it never ends. Movies and books and comments and video games. Everywhere I look, I see caricatures and stereotypes that quickly fester and boil over and become full on violent hatred. Posts on Reddit openly celebrate racism. They mock Asians and say it's okay to be racist towards them. And look what happens now. Violent crime after violent hate crime. I'm so scared for my mother to go back to the States. She's an older Asian woman, and most of the videos I've seen are of people like her being targeted. I feel so angry at the world. I feel so helpless. No matter how hard I fight, it's always there. Will things ever get better? Growing up, I hated myself. I thought that I was the problem. I've made many mistakes in my life, but I've come to realize it's not just me. Artificial selection and breeding the overman. Society is brutal and cruel. It is still in its violent prepubescence, struggling to become something great, the infancy of a grander civilization. I would like to know a world that values each life as they are, treasures holding untold wealth, the magic of human potentiality. Speak not of good and evil. These are vain concepts. There are no monsters in this world, only beasts possessed by varying degrees of brutality. To conquer our animal natures, we must evolve. We must embrace that within each of us is the speaker for the damned, the one that could eat another. Stigma and fear, they deepen the divide between us. If we were merged as one mind, the most startling thing we would find is ourselves. Reflections and shadows, even in the most base of us. Empathy for the intelligent and the crude. But perhaps that is the wrong answer. Maybe all of it is wrong. Maybe we're meant to get away from each other, just as we rose above the soil and all its worms. What you leave behind. I wrote my will today. I don't have much at all. I'm poor as fuck, but I guess richer than many. I have shelter and food and can afford some luxuries. I'm hoping to make money so I can do cooler things. Hire people and make better music videos. Support causes I believe in. I used an online will site called freewill.com. It seems legit. It let me leave percentages to certain charities. I found it freeing. I want to leave behind traces of myself. As long as the world lasts, whatever influence I can give, I want to. Help the world be more free. The things I have felt and have seen, life is something strange and beautiful, but it is painful and difficult. I wish I could be born again in a more perfect world. A world of free sexuality. A world where race and nationality doesn't matter. A world where everyone has enough. A world of peace, love, and understanding. But I'm here now. If it matters at all, I'd like to contribute a change. If it matters at all. On a sea of forgotten teardrops. The past is a great red beast. It pummels and tears apart. It screams and weeps. It grabs you and pulls you down. The past is something simple and sweet. It whispers of fluttering fancies, sings of lilting melodies, rains down flowers as you float up. What do you see before you? The world as a bridge, connecting all things in the now and then and what will be. I look up at the ceiling in this office, white panels littered with tiny black divots. I wonder what the sky would look like if it was an endless swath of stars pin dotted by night. Perhaps this instant is the moment when we will fall up into the moon with a noiseless splash, enter the twilight abyss, swimming in eternity and lullabied by death, knowing a life once lived was all we closely kept. The moon wears the red and the black paint of a hypocritical lament. What was that angry music you heard before? The kind that sounded like animals in pain, guttural screaming. Does it make sense now like it did then? Perhaps it does, but only retroactively. Or perhaps you forget entirely the hypocrisy that brought you here. I wonder what kind of person I am. Do I advocate for equality only because the disadvantages of being a minority has affected me so? I tell myself this is untrue because I advocate for people of other races and genders. That in my maturity I have found injustice to be fundamentally and universally abhorrent. But deep, deep, deep inside I wonder. I wonder if a devil resides within me. And if I had been born a god king, would I seek only selfish pleasures? Would a human be but more than an ant to me? Only useful in terms of momentary pleasure, even at their expense? God T God. Bodies hanging in the trees. The boys laugh as we drive by. They think it's funny how they sway in a wind that carries the scent of flame. A goddess holds two men. Their heads are wolfish and furred. They snarl and snap in her palm. One bites the other in the jugular. He yelps and his torso contorts. His lean and muscular body convulses as the oil of his machine spills from him, spills without stopping. The goddess sheds a single sparkling sapphire tear. It glitters as it trickles down her pristine cheek, falls in time with the steady stream of blood that oozes down her palm and into a large cup below. The victor howls and feasts. The goddess watches him for a while, then squeezes her hand shut. Her cup fills up to its brim. School bus full of boys laughing at the hanging dead, hurtling down an endless hill followed by a ravenous light. We scream at one another, laugh and scream and kick and punch. The cup is full at everyone's expense. Unending beauty. Though we are of the same womb, it feels as if we are complete opposites. So when people tell me a race is a certain way, I cannot believe them at all. Trends may exist within cultures. Cultures may be expressed through ethnicities, but individuality ultimately triumphs, becomes the diversity of the world. And what is a tree but what we see? Is a human a tree? We say no, they are distinct. But why is a tree different than another? In each thing in life, there are subtleties. All things in life, there are differences. All categorizations in this world are mirages to the truth. A rose grows from a brain and blooms a million stars. The stars spill out and become a wave. The wave is full of jewels and all manner of creatures. The creatures themselves, but another rose. I am the swirling dust of these minute characteristics. To be as me is a gift unto triumphant cries. The future isn't what it used to be. Is a purpose-driven life better than a meaningless life? Lao Tzu said to go with the flow and embrace the Tao. I guess fighting for change is an uphill battle, but I feel depressed without working towards something. It seems noble enough to fight for the betterment of people's lives, but everyone seems to have a different idea of what betterment is. Good versus evil being malleable concepts, there hardly seems any universality in morality. Maybe that's part of having a purpose. Maybe viewing purpose as a concrete concept is a source of unhappiness. Perhaps instead of saying, I am fighting for this or that, it is better to say, I am fighting to learn. In all things in life, there are minute details and ever changing nuances. A person may study something their whole lives and be familiar with that thing. Then suddenly something changes, and they are displaced and understand nothing. I would like to live in a future where people are more free, when we understand our needs as humans better. Perhaps that is what I am fighting for. Simply put, for selfish reasons. Because what I crave most is freedom, to be the most me I can be. I'm gonna say something. I feel like such a fucking coward most of the times. I was on a date with a girl and someone bumped into her. I was afraid to yell at the person as they walked by. It was an accident, but I still felt like I was expected to be macho and yell. Maybe that would have been stupid though. An accidental bump and yelling about it could lead to violence. So quickly, someone could get seriously injured or killed. Fights are scary to me. But I have learned how to fight and I condition myself. I practice boxing and I feel overly cautious. I feel like I need a gun when I go back to America. Anything to protect myself. I'm scared all the time and I have been since I was young. When the people around me, white, black, Hispanic, would joke about Asians, I would laugh along with them. I'd make jokes about small dicks and small eyes to appease them. I'm not sure what single event triggered the change in me, or if it was a single event at all, or rather a series of events. But I can't stand shit like that now. I understand people still feel scared. Things are scarier than ever before. We are being assaulted and killed just for existing. But to say nothing is to tacitly condone hate. We have to speak out. We have to fight back. Purple Fairy Gold Ring. My anguish may be just a symptom of helpless anger. Things that seem like I could change. If only I were able to have autonomy over others. If only I had the powers of a god. I don't believe in purpose, meaning, or fate. Morality is just an idea, a fleeting concept. In the yawning abyss of eternity, how would a drop of blood stir the cosmos? As for where we go when we die, who the fuck knows? Let's not be so melodramatic about it. I'm not rightly sure what being alive means anyways. Significance and importance are only important because I'm me. Utilitarianism seems like the great noble truth until you realize you would pick yourself over the crowd, even if it meant the crowd would suffer. But not everyone is like this, and that affects things. Then my head gets all jumbled about being a sacrificial lamb. So which is it? Do you care about others or only yourself? There's no point being so angry about the world anymore. Wars happen. People rape. Atrocity, atrocity, atrocity. I'm just here, trying to live and trying to speak. I hope to live a life well lived, whatever that means. Stoicism. Famous people seem so important. I saw a chicken yesterday. It was being worshipped daily, wearing bejeweled spectacles and necklaces. What music has power to move? The people that screech and sway. What lines may be deepened? The boundary that pervades. Idolatry is in all things. We sing to the wild western wind that carries dust and disease upon us. Acid rain tastes like a spice. Reach up to the shimmering clouds. A translucent line of colors trace around us. I saw a dead man yesterday. He handed me an egg full of gold. If I was the perfect being, what would I take from this world? Would it be dreams or the meek? Would it be the strong or the singing? Could it be anything at all? Rain spills from the sky and I am alone again. My phone pressing cold through my pocket against my thigh. Untitled. Flower petals swarm on bolts of lightning, crest the deepest recesses of thought, nestled there in the murky never of subconscious longing. Hello, we cry out to a far off echo. Goodbye, we say to our fading memories. Death is an impossibility of the imagination, only to be grasped at by vain understandings. Here we build our homes, tell ourselves that we are forever, that what we do here and now, the legacy we leave, is our destiny. Then what of the heat death of the universe? What of the self destruction of the earth itself? What is the legacy of infinity when the void consumes all? Here comes a thought that is suddenly blinding, boundless in its embrace of all things that may or may not be. Here comes a feeling that is just like drowning. Mortality and what we are given is painful for the meek. To become nothing is respite. It is in living that we are doomed to suffer. Privilege, guidance, and the canyon between us. Jet Li kissed Ilea and the audience jeered. Jackie Chan was a porn star but never sexualized in the West. Bobby Lee and Ken Jeong made careers from leaning into small dick jokes. I would joke and say, I have a white dick, because I was ashamed. What a tiresome journey, to fight a world of stereotypes and prejudices. As soon as I was born into it, to be judged my entire life based on the shape of my eyes. How frustrating it is to be judged as a minority or as a woman. I've been on both sides of prejudice, unfortunately. My father listened to Rush Limbaugh on most car rides, had Fox News on the TV every day. But I would like to believe that I have some instinct to recognize the putrid. At least Rush Limbaugh's voice grated my ears even though I didn't understand his words. At least Glenn Beck's simpering creepiness repulsed me. I couldn't understand why my father loved consuming them. But when I was in my 20s, after years of being dismissed when talking about politics, I cut him off mid-sentence and half shouted, "You don't understand because you wear your white skin like your army uniform." His face darkened, but he couldn't respond. Being a different race than my father was strange. Nothing lasts forever. War broke out today. It's hard to care about war. There's always something going on. But of course, this involves Russia, so it involves the world. Russia and the US have sizable militaries. Googling their numbers, they seem pretty evenly matched. Russia has more nukes, but we both have thousands. Mutually assured destruction and all that. But America got its ass kicked by Vietnamese guerrillas. Much smaller country, much smaller military. War is more complicated than numbers or budget, although those are good parameters to measure strength. It's interesting to see the chaotic hegemony we live in. NATO as an alliance is much larger than Russia. Infighting between allies is a fun thing to ponder. Isn't that what all war is anyways? Territorialism and the monopolization of resources rules all. Yet we cannot function in the modern world without allying ourselves. Russia is falling and Putin is not yielding. He will give up, be shot, or blow us all up. Poor little friend that runs around in circles, can't hold on to the invisible thread running between us all. This time tomorrow, where will we be? Most Americans can't name a single notable Asian American. They'll say Jackie Chan or Bruce Lee, who aren't even American, and can't fathom that our first woman vice president is mixed Indian. How sad is that? We've been intricately intertwined within the Western world's history, but we are a footnote, a vague conglomerate of fetishized women and emasculated men, nerds, geishas, and martial artists. That's our legacy. Things are always getting better, but it is disheartening to realize how slow change is. If I had more money, I'd freeze myself, cryogenically propel myself into the future. It's not that I'm afraid of death or want to live eternally. I just want to believe there's a better world out there. Maybe that world is in 1,000 years. I could be like Fry in Futurama and live amongst robots and aliens. It would be fascinating to see how much the world has changed. I get so frustrated living in the now and the today. This world can feel like a closing cage, making even my body something to rage against. The world begins and ends right here. Have you heard the ghost song creeping through the willows as it lights upon the darkened ashes of forgotten bonfires that lets the faceless ones turn their backs upon us, where their swords were left embedded in limestone rot? His nose was cut off for his impudence, so he danced with shades that called gently to the void, starlit dream lights flashing before blinking eyes, an eerie siren song to mark its crumbling life. Last time here to sing, we only see cycles that roll in creams, orgasmic bursts of little deaths that cling. Ode to the little one, those burning suns of melody. Typhoons sweep away empires amidst thundering wars. A tired earth crumbles before its endlessly complex histories. Everything that could ever be not in this vain and pale blue dot that could be seen through the lens of believing. There was a time for journeying that was infinite and eternal. Circular and dancing, we show it to one and the other. Last pieces of the cycle that falls before our tear-filled eyes, a fluttering of flags that wave goodbye. Farewell, my child, my treasured one. Goodbye. 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 A flawed purling. My coworker is watching Bird Box. Did you know there's an article floating around the internet in which Sandra Bullock states she uses face cream made from the foreskins of Korean boys? Do you ever think about why the Forex market exists? The value of currency is so dependent on trade. The wealth of nations is constantly shifting, variables dependent on geopolitical lines. Geography and slavery and music, the shape of sounds that bounce off savanna, off trees and water and hills and grass, the shape of colors flowing between us. And we are the shape of the world around us, everything we do and the value of who we are. How sad I feel to think of those living as untouchable peasants of not so bygone days. What does the prince do in the face of mortal despair? Does he wallow in the mire of empathy, or does he embrace the cruelty of the world and use the cruelty for his advantage? The advantage is power, power to rule us all. Masturbate the ego. A string of one-night stands dances through a lighted railway. Flopping tits and dripping pussies and hard cocks rush by. Slobbering lips and wailing moans swirl all around. Orgasms becoming blood oaths cutting through the night. The requiem of the relationship comes with the dirge of last sex. When you accept that a partnership is not based in lust, the beauty of that thing that gives you pain chains you in its place. Mating rituals are strange religions. We pour entire societies into the pool of Eros. Out of its slippery, viscous love is formed discontent. What is it that will set us free? Monogamy and polyamorous natures, fucking and making love and marriage, needles in the soft tissue, the folds of the brain, bodies that fall from the sky like soft rains. When you fight with someone you love, you don't think of sex. Finding loss borne by high winds into the cold quiet of the midnight soul, kept warm here by that intimate embrace of holding at one another, tendrils that refuse to be cut at a moment's notice. I am bleeding, longing, some in the tides, ancestral rites in a lost forest of blight, leading me nowhere. Whitewasher. Hey there, banana. Yellow on the outside, white on the inside. Or a Twinkie. Means you look Asian but act white. What the fuck does that mean? We would joke that our nerdy black friend was The whitest black guy you ever met. What the fuck does that mean? White means default, normal, neutral, educated, and above board. Black is associated with gang culture and criminality. Asian with Ching Chong foreignness. Assimilate. Asians come and give themselves white sounding names. Rebel. Blacks take on black sounding names to carve their own identity. Why must we fight? Well, look what's happening now. We are the virus in the eyes of the white nationalist hierarchy that shout, white genocide, when really they mean miscegenation. I hate the subtlety of hidden sleepers. Being woke is better than being asleep. Best of all worlds. Sandwiched between. Hard cock in my ass and mind buried in a wet pussy. Nerve endings lit ablaze. Prostate pulsing. Moans and dripping and starburst gaze. The feel of a body. Skin taut and muscles firm. Taste of flesh, soft breasts in hand. Myriad colors flashing before me. Come, salty, juices, tangy. Pin arms overhead, bend them over, rail their ass. Orgasm sings to the heavens, teeth gritted, toes curled, veins throbbing. Sex with people, people of any race, people of any gender, people who are sexy. Sex is play, play is fun. Behind and ahead. So many years I spent knowing nothing, taking pride in being politically ignorant, scoffing at people who were woke, parroting what my parents said. Subconsciously, I felt I was always behind, not keeping up with current events, knowing very little about elections and such, not knowing and not understanding how it affected anything. All I could see was what was right in front of me. But the truth is, I wasn't really seeing what was there. Then I got sick of being behind and getting all my news from those around me. So I started to learn and realized I could see so much. The world is shaped by its people. Instinct and philosophy shape the material. Even basic, fundamental so called truths like race and gender. These are only accepted philosophies. Now it is much different. I feel I can see far more than most people can. Of course, I'm always learning from those who know more about things, but it is better to be able to see and know and understand. It is a gift to know to fight for change. It is also excruciating to see those who used to be as I was. Get the fuck out of here. I just sent my first complaint ever about a guest. I had to step out to go to the bathroom. Because I'm the only person working, it means the front desk is empty. This bitch was upset she had to wait, and when I came back, started going off on me. Sick of being demeaned like this. It's not my fucking fault they only kept one person for the graveyard shift. When we told them we needed 2 people, the managers fucked it up. They always fuck it up, really. When a guest is hostile and demanding, yelling and demeaning and complaining, we reward their shitty behavior by giving them upgrades and free shit. Fuck that. Harassment is harassment. For some reason, society thinks it's okay to treat retail and service like garbage. I'm a fucking human. What, bitch? You think I can't go take a shit when I need to? I'm not scared of being fired anymore. I have a little money now, enough to get by without work for a short time. I'll fight viciously for my place here. I'll escalate to litigation if I need to. I'll post things online calling harassment and shit out and make written and video records. Fuck the assholes that walk all over people they see as inferior. You're the inferior ones incompatible with society. Fuck off. Burnt out SJW. Is there any point to any of this? I wear exhaustion on both sleeves and on my tongue, ranting on a keyboard about race, politics, inequality, screaming on a white page at nothing nobodies. And I still get yelled at by some bitch at work. I still have to hear my fucking family say putrid shit. I still fuck up myself. I still just want to get high until my brain is obliterated. I wake up every day dreading what's to come. Even if nothing happens today, I'm exhausted before things start. Dreams are soft and like the caress of death. What purpose is held momentarily is but a blight on a speck of dust. We're all going to blink out of existence. Each and every one of us will die. I try to tell myself this is worth it, to fight for justice and what is right. I guess I'm just selfish, plain and simple. Those who impede on my security and happiness deserve to die. Those who bring me joy and comfort may stay. One moment is my life, and I just wish I could restart it better. A perfect world with only perfect things. If only life was a dream. Dreamers everywhere. John Lennon said he wasn't the only one. I believe that's true, whatever about him as a person. The hope for a better world was there. I believe in goodness and I believe in evil. Both are present within all people, but there are a few who will fight against their own wretched nature to right the wrongs that they see around them. It can seem like change is nigh impossible. Progress happens slowly over many lifetimes, thousands and thousands of years to lead to this. Remnants of barbarity still exist in a suit and tie. Oh, modern savages that we are who have been tamed by the dollar. Bloodletting the earth with a bullet and a bomb. Tarnishing the sea with the glittering tears of mermaids. Plastic fumes choking the atmosphere itself. What influence can I have in this short life of mine, contained in this limited form of dullness and weakness? But I have some level of ability to strike out, to cry out my truth, and to say this and to say that. Will what I say have any effect at all? I have heard the voices of many, so maybe. Two white men bought the privilege of brutally murdering Vincent Chin for the measly sum of $3,000. Summertime for the lonely hearts, they call out to a passing clock, dripping the years down onto their faces, sinking deeper into slumber in the vain hope to forget. Roiling clouds simmer above, draw them up and away from the planet, above the atmosphere in the cold of space, a dreaming silence to embrace. Hypnotic eyes that blink destiny, a shuddering death by affection gained. There lies in the mouth of the profane, mean less than truth begotten by shame. They take their ugliness and hide it in dark, chained to a wall that is full of rot. Too easy to escape at a moment's notice, thin veneer of safety crumbles quickly. How simplistic the game is, they realize, to sort and categorize by color and shape, to move the people one group up and one down, valuate by the top that is white. Resent me not, for I am of the human kin. Let me be, just let me be. Louder, 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 loud. What's the point in being silent? Well, maybe the desire to conform keeps us safe. If we told people of every little desire we had, maybe our worst of us would become normalized. So we always have to take a step back and question what is right. But then we see that there is so much wrong around us. Bigotry and prejudice and hate is normalized, and we face ostracization for voicing our opinions. It is a scary thing to become a pariah, to be cast out of the common horde and spat upon, to be left alone on the outskirts and left to die. But is it worse than being surrounded by those that hate you? When our true selves are boiling like magma right beneath our skin, when every touch of the wind is like a caress from hell, when every whispering rumor hearkens a primordial fear of being found out. To live in the cowardly shadows may seem safe, but the danger is still there, just a moment abated. Is it not better to step out into the light, to say, "This is me and I shall fight. Fight for myself and what I believe. Even if the cost seems high, why shouldn't I be me?" Lore of a life well lived and the clutch of predestination. Butterflies sing from the back of a memory, little lilac dreams to the growing sensory. Love for the shimmering glare of night screams, death in the murmur of her last need. Watch the gold flecks spill down all around. Hello, they whisper, what's that last sound? Julian, you hypocrite, he wears the night and its blood. Oh, Napoleon, my lord, erase us to none. St. Augustine may preach of finite will and being. Descartes may believe in the thought that breeds. All the philosophers from Aristotle and Socrates that reach down and inject a seed into me. Butterflies flutter all around great big monarchs, but also dirty, dusty little moths. We drown, we drown, we drown here inside them, falling ever down where there is no ground. We could fly with them up into memory, where deja vu clings and tells us we are where we need to be, where it is here between these words that I may truly see. Right eye growing too big for my head, it is lingering, that singular feeling that I have done all this before, that strange feeling that I have lived this life before. Dance me to your beauty with a burning violin. It's more work than it seems to make little TikToks and YouTube shorts. I've decided to start making one 5 days a week now. I'm going to focus them on Asian issues, but eventually start talking about other things too. Race is such an exhausting topic. Why the fuck is this world so stupid? We really sort people by color? Like, really? And then I see the hate comments that respond to my videos. They defend white nationalism and blame everything on black people, invalidate me for being Asian. Racism is alive and well. It's also disheartening how transphobic people are. I made a short about being pansexual. People are really afraid of trans people. I find it to be so stupid and sad. Who cares what gender someone is? Male, female, intersex? Sure, the exchange of gametes or whatever. Then man, woman, all these societal roles and ideas. Isn't this constant categorization of people by color and genitalia exhausting? What a stupid tragedy it is to live in these unenlightened times, when we are so afraid of the influence of people living free. Someone was slapped on live TV without consequence. Disjointed dreams colliding with daylight pillars. Show me the face of a celebrity, spat upon by another of the same color, and I will show you the world and its beliefs. Power is held in a number, view count, and net worth. Sway me with you, trending lies. Crush me with you, lawyer horde. The wealth of nations choked by the united, a large entity known as its incorporated assets, moves as a Goliath amongst the peasantry, Titan not even heeding the ants. A whale dips down into the sea, blowhole pulsing as it dives deeper and deeper. What lurks there beyond its reach only Hobbes knew, that greatest creature holding on to the many and the few. We are crushed by the Leviathan. Its grip strangles every moment of our lives, as those that ride atop its shoulders defecate down onto us, and we scream, our voices dissipate unheard. The distance between us is too vast. The only way up is to cut its feet off and watch it fall down and shatter, screaming into the pixelated void. Untitled. Cybernetic inclination pulls a string from brain to air. Here is the synapse that tears a hole in between us. Crawling mites transferring bits from them to them. Let us see through the eyes of another plant that breathes. A human is just an object with eyes and ears. Sense and life is just particles billowing in the light. I am all that has been and will ever be. I am singularity encapsulated wholly unto myself. Hear me not and hear me forevermore as I screech. Absolutely nothing that is right or wrong, only simply that which I am and have been and will become, the one known as me and them and him and us. I have been circling this drain, pulling us towards death for eternity. Lustful slobbering, a great ravenous nightmare that grips. It calls upon the meek and the weary to show themselves, to say, please, oh please, notice us for a moment. Then the cosmos shall howl and say, you are not received, never received as more than the tumbling of all need. If I could but maintain this form for a minute longer, would I find all that held me to this greed? The terrible longing I feel to be heard, to be seen. Eyes and ears locked onto little rectangles that hold the entirety of all things. Bright light fright. Smooth groove bassline and thump-thudding attack on the kick drum. Dreamy city pop to make me think of vaporwave summer times. Floating up to the star-sprent ether that calls me back to a twilight fade. Comfort me in exhaustion and fatigue when I'm suffering greatly. Vocal harmonies stacked on top and blended clean. I'm floating between jagged cracks of a lightning bolt guitar, tearing sabers to the lions that eat the world alive, speaking softly to the last of the feathered avian lizard gods. One slipping grip onto a video clip lit up by reprieve and knowledgeability. The mind explodes 1,000 times over and then weeps at its impotence. My pillow is soft, but my head is as heavy as a lead ball, falling through fathoms of murky dark down to the Challenger deep. Even beyond what we can see, there is too much to comprehend. We are forever held in the blindness of our own certainty. The universe expands as we inhale, let out a breath as it contracts. I would live my entire life as an instant played by flickering reels on a TV screen, and still not understand even a fraction of a frame displayed. For beyond what I am desperately clutching for understanding of is but more threads in a maze to be followed deeper into the spiral of being. Let the music do the talking, the voices say the whole. I like to live most of the time, I think. I watch Kid Geniuses and feel so stupid sometimes. I'm shocked that I've forgotten so much from grade school. I couldn't even remember how many millions go in a million. And I remember how easy it used to be for me. I wonder if I would be very different if I could retain knowledge indefinitely. I'm sure I would need to reference things less. I find that my brain holds on to the most random tidbits of info, and I have to make a consistent and concentrated effort to remember important things. I sometimes wonder if anyone is stupid at all. Maybe anyone without defects in the brain could be highly intelligent given the right circumstances. The feral child Jeannie was probably stunted by her abuse. Perhaps the solution to intelligence is stimulation and exposure. I wonder if my openness to the world is because I am an army brat. Never having a set home and always traveling has definitely shaped me. But many army brats are totally unlike me. Maybe it was the amount of books that I read. I'm not sure why I am the way I am. Maybe it was genetics, but I don't know. I'm pretty different than my family. Maybe it's just natural? Predestined? Life is hard most of the time. I don't think I would do it all over again. But there's definitely parts I revisit over and over in memory. Behind the screens. Just block them and move on. There's nothing to be gained by talking with them. Not online, at least. Dialogue is only one way most of the time. What does it take to get someone to truly listen? Even when I'm willing to listen, it just seems like they just want to talk, and talk, and talk, and talk. I was at a party and a white guy started going off about Trump and traditional values. So we sat down and I was ready to have an actual discussion. I even conceded several points, but this guy wouldn't listen at all. In all fairness, he was tipsy, but even so, he wouldn't let me get in a word. That's the way it is with people so often. They brush you aside and treat you like a caricature or a child. They denigrate you with pithy expressions and sly quips, or sometimes even direct insults and yelling when you make a particularly scathing point. I've grown tired of it. I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing, and I'm going to be brutally selfish. No more worrying what I'm supposed to do or supposed to say. I'm not obligated to respond to anyone. I own the entirety of this space. Precious respite. This world has tricked us into believing we are weak. The meek will inherit the world, my ass. Sometimes we must keep quiet to survive, but servility only begets subservience. I was convinced it was by my own failings that I am here, that I have suffered as a result of my own flaws and sins. Yes, I have committed many wrongdoings, but I am simply trying to survive against virtually insurmountable odds. Society is broken and rewards predatory cruelty. It marginalizes and abuses whole swaths of people. The cogs of its unforgiving retribution beats down upon us. It retaliates those who scream for equality and justice. Why must we be martyrs for decency? Why must we give up comfort and happiness for change? Can't I have both without being tossed aside? I don't want to be any hero to human. I only want a good life. A cold wind blows steadily at my feet and freezes my toes, so that I stumble forward and trip over shattered seas. Water cuts me down into eroded pieces of fleshy agony. Each anguished molecule of me tears itself open. There is no ear to receive my mouthless cry. I dream of blue and bottomless skies. Rage against the delusion of a grand machine. It seems easier to keep your head down, not do anything, and bow to authority. But authority is just a fucking person that has met another person willing to back them. I hate that I hate subservience. It seems like it would be easy to do what I'm told. But then I perceive that I am being crushed down. My insides feel like they're set on fire. It's excruciating to feel like I'm a subordinate. I am a free man, am I not? That's the basis of being an American, right? So when other men treat me like I'm lesser, it burns me alive. Not just men, but there's women too, the Karens of the world. I wish all of them would die. Every single asshole that makes me feel as if I'm boiling. It's difficult to raise your head up and say, "Fuck you, I won't do what you tell me." But it's far more difficult to live under their thumb. Those that have no divine right to be so fucking full of themselves. That's all it really is, isn't it? Utter narcissism taken to its societal conclusion. Who will stop the rain? Beams of light that radiate from her eyes calls them closer to the warmth of her embrace. She takes them into her bosom and sighs. A joyful teardrop streams down her face. The children coo softly and begin to dream. She lifts them up high in offering. His hand descends from clouds and pokes and prods and deems which of the children are most worthy in showing. But the children awake at his touch and scream. The clouds darken and she yelps out in surprise, drops the children down to newly formed seas. They are plunged into its depths to their demise, but a chosen few survive. They claw and thrash to the surface, carried away by furious currents and tides, the throes of the ocean giving them constant distress. Still they live on and multiply, learning to build upon the mighty waters, clawing and climbing over one another to stay dry, leaving their relics to their sons and daughters. The vast machine of this realm is unforgiving in its expansiveness. Infinity surrounds us and yields no real answers. The alluring. Sexy bitches. White women are trophies. You can win many. Blonde and skinny and tall, that's all you need. Sex with many, very many, a group of guppies following you. What respect can be traded like coins? Men in backrooms use thin steel blades, shave off flesh from weeping, smiling, prostituted slaves. Smoke from fat cigars pluming over piles of glittering jewels and thick stacks of cash. I was a rock star in that life, snorting cocaine off Jessica Alba's tits, getting blown by Playboy bunnies. 13 years old and with a penis 12 feet long, the god of manly men. Then we see their fall from grace, the worship of digital idols and the garish perversion of them. Their acne and yellow teeth all too visible in the neon glow of internet propaganda, swarming with bots that scream, "Buy, buy, buy!" The power of who I am lies not with the perception of those around me. but rather in overcoming the fear of being ostracized and embracing the peace I make within the establishment while working to dismantle pieces of it. The flow of the universe is unfathomably complex. To see the river is to swim against its current to better lands. First love. She was tall and her hair straightened into an emo whoosh, thick glasses on a face full of soft features, hunched shoulders that seemed to try to hide her huge breasts. I couldn't help but stare at her every day when she came into class. I forget how I started talking to her. I remember pretending to ignore her for the longest time, nervous that my lust would be revealed, going home and masturbating desperately to images of her flashing in my mind. Waiting at the DMV, I text my best friend that I see an HBC, hot black chick coming my way, even hotter than the girl I puppy loved. He says ew, and I am confused. I don't understand why they say black girls are ugly. Another friend says they have loose pussies and Asians have tight ones. Where the fuck did that even come from? Same places as Asians having small dicks and blacks having big ones. Weird racism. The girl I loved had a boyfriend, and it killed me inside. My heart danced the night I held her hand in my car and told her, "Baby, it's you." She giggled nervously, the cuts on her wrist, shining darkly bright. I went home and inhaled computer duster to kill my need for her and all my thoughts. I feel a great pressure to say white girls are the most beautiful, but the first girl I ever loved was black. Fiery magic carpet ride between electric ladyland and gloomy Sunday islands. A flyer with bold letters and a picture that makes people stop and stare. Nailed to a post along a street shining with glittering pixels. A swarm of masked voices mixing together, shouting and shouting, virtually indistinguishable from one another. They scream from our pockets. A hot plastic rectangle burns a hole in my thigh. I look into the bleeding hole. It is filled with pulsing, wrinkly brain. I wonder what Alexander Bell would think of his monster that has become our talking saints, preaching the word of our faces, our fates shaped by little flexing synapses as we transmute our signals. I remember first visiting Chat Roulette and Omegle more than 10 years ago, saying hello to a lonely Brazilian girl across the world, her sparse and broken English fumbling as she told me, "I feel so much for you. I love you." Then the little square on our screen showing our faces blink off, and we are confronted by the silence of solitude, staring at the world around us, wishing it would stare back. Looking for someone to say something nice to. Looking for someone to say something cruel to. It feels good to hurt myself. Steak knife to my thigh. 31 cuts until blood pours down in rivulets. Punching my jaw until I taste copper. Head is going to explode. Bash it against a door. Roll my eyes up until white pings of agony shoot through. 10 pills of strangeness, fiery booze like a river, videos of people dying, arrow guru art to soothe my screaming brain, razor blades chipping away at my conscience. I am so weak, I am a coward. Every day is exactly the same, the world a rotating sphere of illuminated dark. All the people, monsters that pool slimy cocks, puncture the slits they carve into you, defecate entrails in a reeking goo, drowning in the hating stew. Today I feel like being nothing, giving up my life for lack of hope. Immolate. The days go by. How much sex did you have in your 20s? Much more than I thought I would. And yet I am still unsatisfied in my soul, as my body rots in exhaustion. One more year until I'm 30. I don't feel very different, and yet I've changed a great deal. Looking back, I hardly recognize who I was. What the point of life is only seems to matter in retrospect, and what the point of life can be only comes at the end. I am an expression of the void, That is what I have always been and always will be. All my love and hate will be a simple song to call out our names to eternity, drained away by the eye of eons as beasts rave and rage against a dying summer's light. Heat stroke nostalgic peppermint dreamings. I would love to do life just one more time in an endless spiral of being. Even this is a feeling. Years of working alone at night, quietly swarmed by butterflies of memory, clogging up my esophagus, staring through a starry mobile screen, listening to sad lo-fi beats, midnight cats on a windowsill, fireflies exploding like supernovae, gliding on a kayak along a black river dark. In the depths of the midnight jungle, we sit around a fire, me and my crowd of lost loves. Gentle touch, light touch, lovely touch. Then they push away, swallowed up by void. Rain falling, behind eyes can't stop crying. Months of alcoholic burning, drowning, numb sad. I wish to die. Why would the universe choose to make a piece as wretched as I? But I suppose that a cancerous cell is still a living being. I need some chemo of the soul. Suffocation. My soul weeps with every rising dawn. Another day of miserable living in a world full of gray splattered by red. Glorifying savagery and fighting, we neglect ourselves. Let us fight for scraps and meals. Let us wallow in the muck and mire. Day 2 of the week and I'm already wishing for death. I can't imagine going on like this for a single moment more, much less an entire lifetime still left to live, as the world screams in agony through articles of hate. The news and social media flash comments spewing vitriol and ignorance. They sing songs of hatred and whispering ennui. Is this all there is to everything, really? And I go home to little joys and small pleasures that are far outweighed. I dream of a dark cave swallowing me up, led into the pit by a Pied Piper of malice, letting my essence return to the stars, freed unto violent moanings and strangled silhouettes. This form is agony. This existence is excruciating. Finally free. What does genocide look like in your daily life, when all you can see is what the internet provides? Uyghur re-education and ice camps. What is my hardships compared to theirs? R/Asian identity helped me, but I saw the flaws in it, using terms like Lu and banana rings, and the Hapa hate, espousing the one-drop rule in labeling Hapas with white fathers as insidious infiltrators. To defend this space would be to offend my morality, and yet I do defend the value that I extracted from it. R/Hapas also had its uses, but there's something freeing about a hive mind singular in identity. Perhaps that's why these leopards ate my face, for the hive mind will be drawn towards its appreciation of power. And who is more powerful than the Sinosphere in terms of Asian identity? I understand why someone like Jackson Wang says, there is nothing wrong in Xinjiang. Why R/Asian identity says, Timmy Hayes is a WMAF shill. But I see that this cycle is over, and I have come out of the desert once more. The oasis still provides, but I am parched and thirst for something new. I fucking hate this job and this fucking oppressive society. Today I came into work and the same supervisor that pushed my head when I first started working and kept touching me even when I repeatedly told him to stop, said, "Hey there, TikTok star." I was furious that TikTok had recommended my profile to him. Although most of my videos were of Asian advocacy, there is one where I talk about being pansexual. Then there's the fact that I filmed them at work in uniform. I fucking know he would try to use it against me, so I blocked him and set the profile to private. And I made adjustments to my Instagram. I left my YouTube channel up though. I hate that I have to hide who I am because of money, that I can't get tattoos on my face or speak true to my sexuality, that I'm expected to shut up and stay quiet about things that bother me, because assholes like him can threaten my livelihood. I can't fight if I can't eat. I can't create if I have no place to sleep. I can't develop if I have no health care. I need money, and I'm being given barely enough to get by. The thin line between where I am and homelessness is worn as a noose that looks just like a necktie. How strange it is to be anything at all, and I can't fucking stand it. He is a displaced dreaming, just a figment of overlapping lights and shadows, vain reflections intertwining, spiraling in and out towards eternity. Watch him sit on galactic swirls, draining out of solar anuses, spewing their filth and disease over eons and split instances. One point can be endless, the gap measured by a moment. Nothing satiates his forever longing, something can be given freely. Throbbing vein in his cock writhes and wriggles. Under the skin its razor spines pierce, punctures thin translucent skin and comes undone. Pale worms burst from his genitals, leaving trails of shining, putrid slime. Glorious tower of babbling blossoms shoot upwards from the center seed of his brain, rattling teeth, sharp white electric nerve tingles. Every single scattered, waving flag of each dimension reveals a new way of being. He has seen only everything contained in these soft pink splashes of warm ocean laughter, plunged beneath into the dry, bony depths, suffocated by deathly silver nightmare. If a tree falls and no one is around, can you hear me screaming at you through these words that are symbols for feelings I wish I could give meaning to, through space and time being brought to you? I wish I could see you, not your face, but the real you, the one that is timeless, the one that understands what it's like. Because that's what we both are, timeless pieces of a whole, swirling in this endless void, seeking a home. Can you hear me howling at you, these truths I don't understand, that I vainly put into poems, videos, songs, that I raise high above an uncaring crowd like a glowing flag? I am divided in race, a word I learned as an adult, but inside I am still the wordless child. I am still frightened and full of wonder. I still just want warmth and comfort. Maybe I will be heard, or maybe I don't make a sound at all. Le Rouge et le Noir. Cool is the night, dripping black teardrops. She caresses his head upon her lap, stained with the red blood oozing from his severed neck stump. Carries him to a hole she made, his pale and sightless eyes soon filled with soil. Seeing worms crawl into his skin, seeing his remnants rot. What life is left for those forsaken in honor? The horror of each psychosocial moment that crushes us into melancholia. Desire of another driving all our longings and woes. If we could but glimpse one another through these unseen moments, beholden as we are to these dragon-filled aisles, suffocated by these circular rites. Another dread meeting, another listless fight, status and power and ambition and iron might, quickly swept away by tidal waves of ennui. Lethargic melodies, craving but a morsel of nostalgic love. Then all too suddenly we reject our spouse for the mistress and are enfolded by our desperate need for solitude. Moments on a bus in Seoul, wishing I was anything but me. Satisfaction washes over me in amber waves. My entire body is set alight with tingling pleasure. I stare out the window as the bus rattles and shakes. watching beautiful and ugly people and places pass by. I am full of wanting and regret, hopes and dreams, pride and prayers, love and hate. But I could die now, fulfilled, to know that the path is never ending, to know that starlight is forever just at my fingertips. The end is only a knowing. I have been a human all these long years. Each excruciating day that fills me with malcontent, each vile moment that makes my mind scream fury, all these gross and grand marches to death. And all our tomorrows have darkened geniuses, the way to immaculate living, for uncertainty comes as a double-tailed mongrel that waves its intertwining spirals in vain mockery of us. Being born is to be trapped. There is no such thing as free. Falling asleep at work. It's another graveyard nighttime. The earth rotates in its place far below my floating feet. Cold silver stars dangle all around, their jagged points shining through my breath. Staring at a ceiling of punctuated forgetting, leaning back on a leather throne of servitude. All the purpling minions rave and spew their shit as I drool mediocrity and agonizing boredom. Give me another number to calculate my worth, so that I may experience the freedom of the rich. O sweet cousin of death in my release, those buzzing curls of a mad seasonal dance. I am in another daze as I wait for the oasis to dry out, another trance that holds me to this hellhole. It has lost all its meaning and its charm, organic machines coming apart at their seams around me. O grand God of the white world of thine begotten self, I wish it would all happen much faster. Each moment I crave is another moment of splitting pain, watching my skin fall off my red self, bleeding into eternity. Darkened lands call out from hidden trenches. Shadows let out their siren calls, beckoning softly to the void. Disappoint fury for the incelious. What a fucking mess prom was. I was in love with a black girl who had a Korean grandma, but she had a boyfriend, so I asked her Korean friend instead. She was captain of the dance team, but wouldn't dance with me. So I took off my shirt and wore my suit jacket, and grinded on some hot blonde girl from another school all night. Then I ditched her, just like I ditched the Korean girl I took to homecoming. Got high in a parking lot with a red-headed white boy known for fighting. Everything felt so important back then. I didn't even think of anyone else. I was such an asshole that night. But the next morning, my prom date apologized for not dancing with me. I found an English report I wrote back then. After my father died, I found it among the trinkets he saved. I was shocked that I unironically used words like feminazi and wrote with such vitriol about women. My cock is a tower, veiny and pulsing. Women of all colors and shapes prostrate themselves before it. They worship it as I am buried beneath an unending flood of my own cum, my body draining of any self-worth and dignity. Like expendable dolls, I sought validation through higher sex. Now I look back and all I see are putrid and rotting faces. Mine illuminated childishly bright and the most horrid. I wish that I could be like the cool kids. I dreamt about a guy I hate from high school last night. In my dream, I told him, "Fuck you for being a cunt." And he beat me so bad that for the rest of my dream, I was permanently disfigured, eyes popping halfway out of my head. What a fucking annoying ass thing. To dream about someone I hate, but really someone I don't even know. I haven't seen the motherfucker in over 10 years now. Why am I so haunted by people? They cling to me like a great regret of ghosts. Raves of wanton death and discrimination. Everything in life a swirling stream of turds down a toilet. I wonder what it was like for the full Korean kids like him. I envied him so much for being tall and handsome and athletic, but most of all his charisma and the fact that he was included in parties. Why do I still feel I'm on the outside looking in? I've had the girls, and the drugs, and enough money and notoriety, within my small circles at least, but nothing is ever enough in this putrid life. If I were a god, I would enter his dreams, do all the worst things I could imagine, for this knowledge of insipid hate at all. Pieces here and there coming together, then scattering. Big world, neural connections, think thought, places move, supply chain, butterfly fluttering, nations collapse, needling vein, human cells, solar system, dying tree, supernova puking, sperm cloud, nebula rising, cozy porch, bright shining, sunny room, smoking foggy, bed sleeps, universally dreaming. The art of communicative war, blue claws digging deeper into my brain. I'm constantly checking my phone, signaling with flags telling the world, look at me, look at me, look at me. Jacking off on LSD, wondering why. These pixels arranged like this make me feel like this, even with their warped forms, symbols of light and glowing sound. Then the people in the street try to bite me. They turn into depraved wolves, screaming, Ching Chong die! Ching Chong die! My head hurts and the claws are too deep. I can see them connected at their source, extending out to everyone around me, through their phones, TVs, computers, but also out their eyes and mouths, also on their clothes, even their very skin, all of it yelling, this is what we mean! This is what we are! When the past tears and tears at me, nostalgic flutterings even amidst a backdrop of abject misery, a cigarette smoked under the Idaho moon, screaming insides cutting my shoulder with a steak knife, leaving a permanent scar with the match. Self-mutilation as I search for a dropped hydrocodone, dig through an ashtray for a desperate cigar butt, waiting for hours in front of a midnight gas station, asking scary men for just a piece of what they have. Stink of misery getting stronger as I neglect myself, stop showering and cum in my sheets, sleep in my own shit and blood-stained grief. But the sunrise is so pretty today. Puke half a pound of fried chicken mixed with 5 bottles of soju into the dive bar shit slash blood slash puke slash juice covered toilet. Something about all the colors seemed beautiful. Bartender squeaks like a monkey as dude fucks her in the next stall over. A belt whistles in the air and leaves a welt on my back. My father walks in the desert and we laugh together, the sun baking us dry as we stride fearlessly towards it. Marijuana smoke descending upon me, leaving me in a hazy labyrinth. Moon gives me a great Cheshire cat smile and leads me down lost ways. Psych ward cranberry juice and ensure I still love the taste to this day. There is beauty even in moments of decay. Why wasn't I born a king? Damn, I want to smoke weed so fucking bad. I want to feel the fog fill my head, lift me up away out of this miserable life, bring some magic into my world. I don't get how people stand it, the drudgery and mediocrity of this fucking stupid reality. How people howl and bay at nothing. How they worship themselves. I'm watching the Dark Crystal show. I don't envy their world either. I guess that's the difference when I saw the 1982 movie. Fantasy worlds used to seem better. Now they're all just rotting extensions of preconceived notions. The hate and racism we have here is reflected in Jim Henson's fantasies. I don't get how people can stand sobriety, or that people want to live in the capital hellscape of Seoul. But I guess the US is no better. China virus, racism, and mass shootings. At least I could get high. Fuck, I want to run away to Thailand. Legal weed, hot bitches, nice beaches, good food, everything's cheap. Never mind their subjugation by larger nations, political unrest, human trafficking issues. Dilute yourself. I bring the porn star from the screen. Fuck her without consequence. I make me and you perfect and beautiful. drown us in money and fame. We live like monarchs, or better yet, deities, rule the earth with dignified benevolence, an iron hand when needed. But it's not needed because everything is perfect. I am craved in perfection, and a long line of women wait for me. Their colors are intrigue. I keep a harem of perfect bitches for my aching cock. I'm taller and more muscular. I can be a woman when I want to, or even look like someone else, something else. But then I'm staring at the ceiling, blinking away, drops of dreaming, wishing I was something other than this nightmare I wake into every day. And all my desire is condensed in my midline as I breathe wine and soju and chonga, wishing it was weed. Exhaustion is different than fatigue. Melt my brain with video games, gray rain thudding against the window pane. Someone breaks glass and shouts upstairs. I wake up at 3 p.m. drooling, numb, dumb, asshole in pain. My gut is ruined by years of booze. Lungs charred and tarry as my alarms go off. Hit snooze. Again and again. Turning earth, light, dark, light, dark. Fuck. I can't do this. 30 years almost. It's too fucking long. It's too fucking much. So fucking meaningless. Everyone's yelling and I'm so tired. I can't believe how petty and mean these primates are. That I am counted among them fills me with repulsion, a deep disdain of my self-species, that we so divide and categorize ourselves in the grossest of ways. It's noon again and I can't sleep. Another honking car outside and I wish I was dead. Interactivity. Dark crystal rains and writhing leviathans of the deep. We emerge, already bleeding from the cocoon, the pupa that endured the chrysalis, only to be struck down by the crimson moon. We cough and tapeworms riddle our vomit, earwigs wriggling into our orifices, chewing our own teeth into themselves, watching eons pass into destruction. The humans are so many and so few, just another passing nightmare. Why are we born into this world, so cruel and uncaring to itself? Pain and suffering are pre-programmed, self-defeating gifts to the thrumming rhythm of all. The giantess opens her mouth, calls out a green song full of buzzing life. A flaming sword cuts her in twain. Thus, torn asunder, she leaves a black stain. Nightfall beckons to the new children. They screech and tear at one another. Pieces of their own flesh their mother. They cannot see that through their cannibalistic furies. I crave the age of the overman. Is this really all there is to life? Superfluous interactions and then we work and work and work and die? The only answer I can see is the pursuit of passion and pleasure. The optimal illusion of being is the state of vigorous entertainment. Then I ask myself why anyone pursues the unpleasant, the rigorous structures of oppressive religion, bigotry, and tyranny. I realize that they must reap some kind of reward, a net benefit to the monotony of their mediocrity. To exalt oneself as above others in selective morality must be such vain affirmation. Perhaps that is why atheism is so feared. Embracing the unknown and the malleability of ethics, it can be easier to let others think for you, to espouse long-standing traditions as truth. There is no truth but what we see before us, and what I see before me is a putrid world of abhorrent stupidity and ignorance, with only minute flashes of transcendent brilliance. Gautier really nailed it with that song. I know we were unhappy, but I felt so validated with you, like I had won something, that I was more myself. But that feeling is an illusion, because through the lens of nostalgia, the bad times are foggy, and the good times are bathed in bright starlight. I don't want to think of us. There is no us. You're just a stranger now. You have been for a long time. It's so hard with the internet and social media. In the past, we could erase one another. We could strike out to another place, never see each other again. But now I can click, see your whole public persona, I can't even call or text you. What a fucking drag. Memories haunt me. I wish I had never loved you. This too shall pass. What kind of comfort would you pick? Much luxury with little time, or little luxury with much time? A short, comfortable life, or a long, hard life? I don't understand people that wish to prolong suffering. Depression and temporary difficulties may cloud our vision. But the truth is that sustained pain is terrible beyond measure. Suicide is much more than a permanent solution to a passing problem. Killing oneself is called a sin. It is called cowardice. But isn't it brave to leap into the unknown? To take a stand against the injustice of debilitation? None of us consented to being born. Personally, if I had the choice, I would not have been born. Not into this world full of barbarity and the pettiest meanness, full of savages that tear at one another over what? The stupidest fucking things. I would choose a world of pleasure, comfort, and goodness, optimization of ourselves as beyond structural maintainers. We would be stimulated nerve cells, our bodies conduits for heaven. Circus of Ouroboros. Consciousness deprived in cellular divides, prayers of death that turn to the light. What turns by the stars revolve into life, marriage of all the cosmos, our bride. What visions we have seen that make us ourselves, those strange tales of shipwrecks and mermaid spells. Little teardrops of plastic suffocate us this hell, into the fathoms of riddles only us brave shall delve. We have dreamed this fantastic place in time, a flickering consonant of a meaningless rhyme, full of sound and fury, but also pristine quietude, great unfurling, unknowing, reduced to mere platitudes. I know not what tomorrow will bring. I know not what joys or sorrows shall be. This place that echoes its sounds that ring, human tale of sightless, blind gurus that see. Pledge to us this chronic, masturbatory god of all. By chaos it fucks with itself, caught by our thrall. Thrum, thrum, thrumming its good nature to stay. Hum, hum, humming all its evil carried away. Greetings to the macabre horror of dread sight. Goodbye to the melancholy honor of dead night. Never-ending anguish. A poem is a howl to the empty night sky. It is the calling to be known amongst emptiness, to bleed lost memories out and mourn, all those fleeting moments that will never come again. Remember that face that shone as beauty personified. We seek out the Aphrodite with a few simple clicks. I haven't seen you in years and you look just the same and all too different. Desire for power, lust for the body, disgust in the shallows that kick up dust, repulsed by my self-conflicting aggression, morals and ethics reduced to ultra-violence, rape and domination to cut off the penis, eat the fetus as it pulses the uterus, kill the children in their schools, blow them to pieces, take the fresh nubile preteen, ravage her tight pussy. Old pale kings stamp out opposition in the western wilds, parasite death streams in the throes of a dying sun. We look to the stars and see the calling, a wisp in endless expanse. Turning clocks atomically misaligned, we swirl down caught in eddies, rowing our boat gently down the stream, heading out the curtain call, pummeling over waterfalls. Always dying. They are us and we are them. They say Rupi Kaur is vapid and Instagram fodder while sucking Bukowski's dick. What the fuck do you fools know? She speaks her truth with vibrant passion in prose and speech. They're not used to seeing the marginalized speak out. No, I'm not saying we're perfect, for the talented faggot is just a person. Sylvia Plath and Anne Sexton both did a lot for women. Monsters and beasts of varying degrees of brutality. I'm just so fucking tired of being here in this world that's ridiculous. I'd like to kill myself soon so that I can float into a different dream where we are optimized for pleasure, so that I can never hear an unkind word again, where we are everything we could ever be. Why are we born just to suffer and struggle to make our voices heard? As the vain hypocrites, full of ugliness and rage, seek to silence us by their dominance. They are people too. But oh, how I fucking hate them. Ants racing around like rats. I've been looking at cottages on Instagram, little places with lots of green, and I imagine myself with C, smoking a joint and watching TV peacefully. I watched a movie called Handsome, a Netflix murder mystery. There's a line from a woman, something about how much her soul aches to move to a farm. I related to it so much. I'm so fucking sick of the city. I'm so fucking sick of the noise. I'm so fucking sick of working. I'm so fucking sick of living in a tiny ass room. I'm not living in abject poverty, I know, but I am a wage slave through and through. I dream the life of a retired elderly man, relaxing in quiet solitude, doing only what I like. What a tragedy it is to be born into this world, full of things I despise, having to go into a job every day that wears me down, only finding peace 2 days a week at a time, somewhere quiet and comfortable, away from the noise and the hate. It's not so bad once you get used to it. All of us entangled, each movement bending space-time, rippling through the expanse, shaping the cosmos themselves. A man is disconnected from the sun, dwells by the dark. His body yearns for greener pastures, his bones beaten into concrete squealing agony. Oink, oink, dead things cry. Ravenous beasts by the millions, devouring pounds and pounds of flesh. Then they shit them into watery holes, like ants living above chocolate seas of filth. Solar anus spewing out a lustful eye, watching black holes radiate energy, watching babies born dying. We are but perpetual children, born amongst an unending flow that stretches endlessly in all directions, that tosses us, tears us, drowns us, sinking deeper into the dream, sinking deeper into the reality. Marigold explosions. The trouble with dreams is that they immerse you, except there's a kind of numbness to them. Splashing water is muffled. Filth is bearable. When we float above one and the other, we see that all our ambitions, all our wantings were confined only by internalized reflections. The only beginning in my memory is of creation. The only end is all that lays before me. To define one is to ignore reality. I can hear the music of the hinterlands. I would like to sink deeper and be perpetually dreaming. Perhaps my senses are already muffled on some higher plane. This is just a dream. Everything is stitched together by ideas, made manifest on a sinister cosmic wish, that wish being born from the void. The feeling is only a flicker. It grows fainter always. Click in the eye. I'm still in recovery mode from years of hating everything about everything. A sparkling crystal disease in my neocortex. Small bursts like fireworks killing me loudly. Cum is the pure solvent. It breaches all boundaries of reality. It is the bonder that shows us all the funny games we play. Blood is the flame, oiled to our machinery, turns our gears, each bone perfectly mechanical. Organic robots created in a colliding puppet dance, great tomes of the dead that call us closer, a singular deity revolving in disgust. watching us with putrid fascination. You could have just one fainting spell, glitch in the matrix, your eyesight flicker, buzz in your brain, then everything turns golden. It all feels so different in an instant. Reality was never real, anyways. Long hot summer night. Lights spiking auras nightly, static vision clouds, snow falling in my ear, high pitched ringing, constant migraines, throbbing fingers, lurching stomach, bleeding asshole, lesions blooming by the orchid's rays, sunshine oozing down in great globules, sickly sweet, toxic, miasmic lustfulness, mingling saliva, you taste like death. Clutch her handbag close to the heart, rattling keychain, then the car starts. We ride over the stage and the sun sets heavy, down the pouring water off the edge of everything. Dolphins plunge down into warm rainbow seas. Down further, everything turns dark and cold as they grow razor sharp teeth. Down even further where no one knows. The house rocks us gently to sleep upon his bed of nightmares and illusions. 88 Rising. I saw Filthy Frank play as Pink Guy become Joji. Now this Hapa's pretty fucking famous. I want to be happy for him, but I can't help but feel envious. I mean, he obviously is musically talented, or skilled, or adept, or whatever you want to call it. But watching his live performances, I feel a stab of spite. His vocals seem far below mine. But then I watched my own upload that was lambasted of me singing Aerosmith at a bar doing drunk karaoke. And even I admit that it's pretty subpar. But when I practice, I fucking kill it, like my cover of Linkin Park. The point I pride myself on is my hard rock vocals. But I guess that's not enough to get me noticed. Why the fuck do I even care? I've sing songs to the wind, to be lost to the empty sky. I guess I had so much expectations. I really believed I would be a rock star somehow, some way. That 88 Rising and what they did for Joji and Rich Brian, their bridge for Asians would somehow help me. I guess I should be grateful there's representation, but my selfishness still pines for the version of myself that's celebrated. Fuck the system. The true heroes in this life are those that sacrifice all of their treasures for the benefit of a moral cause. But genetically speaking, it's those who survive who are the ones who last. An idea can be erased and a gene can be muffled. Are cheaters and swindlers and tyrants heroes? In the eyes of nature, they are, because they're the ones who fuck the most. But the dangerous game is one where moral outrage takes over and those who have been wronged subjugate those in power to take a piece of the prize for more than a piece of the price. Draconian rule and corruption and abuse gives the ugliest of scum all the glory, a monopoly on beauty and joy and that most precious resource of time. We may have to compel the public to serve, for servitude and the expenditure of energy is the only way to keep the great gears of society moving. But we all have our limits. The heroes of nature quickly become the villains. The sun nourished the forest, then sets it ablaze. Thank you, BTS. We laugh loudly and raise our arms to the sky and shout, "Thank you, BTS, for making the girls around the world drool, for making Asian men seem sexy and cool." Then a crowd runs out screaming, "Fucking K-pop stans die! Fucking BTS army is crazy!" Specifically hating Korean pop fans. They shit on Korean pop music, but most of them have never even listened. Do not know the diversity of music in all places. It is a reaction to the popular, and when the trendy is along racial lines, the sexual, ethnic jealousy is made all too clear. How infuriating it must be for non-Asian men, A whole category emasculated as little-dicked weirdos that were never competition through mass conditioning is now suddenly the global fascination to girls worldwide. So, thank you, BTS. There's still a long way to go, but it's a step forward. Dream of a second life. The aliens came to me again last night. They brought me back to life after my longest sleep. I was shocked and asked, but how am I alive again? They told me, we have the technology now. I realized then that they were us. They reintroduced me to life slowly. I was amazed at how clean and comfortable and utterly safe everything was. I asked them, but what about hate and war and famine and disease? They told me that they had weeded these things out long ago, and now were focused on bringing every human back to life. I asked them, but what about people from the past that spread ideas of hate? They told me that their tech, that was like magic, prevented any acts of violence and that this was the key. They had eradicated our need for food and anything that could harm us. Without the threats of starvation, deprivation, and violence, the influence of ideas was neutered. Proselytizing was just a vain hobby. The people danced and sang and fucked and played. Finally, I felt this world was worth living in. Only just free. Here I am in the deep dark hole of self-pity, castrating my sense of being as one of malicious grotesquerie. And yet I recognize that there are many turns in my life that I could have been condemned to far worse. To ruin your life, they say, grave injury to the body, mind, or reputation. I could have had all of these at many points in the past. I lived on the edge of devastation, heeding neither laws nor mores, taking a wretched pride in my abjectness, hating myself, yet doing naught to pull myself up. Now I shudder at my mistakes. Though years separate us, they still crawl upon me like hidden crawlies, their little claws prying open my brain during sleep. As the years go by, though, the fear becomes less. Regret fades as I develop into that which I admire, for the fantasy novels I read as a child instilled some vanity of virtue within me. I will face whatever consequences that may come, but I will be no slave to destiny or fate. Cherry Blossom Ending is such a hard song to figure out on guitar, but I guess it's because I'm not that good. It's kind of a relief not to worship Steven Tyler or Jimi Hendrix or AC/DC or Guns N' Roses, whatever other dad rock band I grew up being told was the best. I mean, what's the fucking difference between BTS and the Beatles? They're both fucking boy bands that make trendy, good music. The mythology of rock god stardom seems pretty lame now. A rock idol is a junkie and a whore. Give me something that makes music for something. That's what I want to be. Yeah, I know it's fun to explore and fall into music too. But I feel like these days I'm not as fascinated by pure technical ability, or even trippiness for the sake of it. Psychedelic stuff used to seem so meaningful to me. The mysteries of the universe don't need to be so pretentious. I don't think I'll ever be a rock god like I wanted to be as a teen. Big drug orgies and the world simping for me. Even if there's a part of me that still wants that. I don't need it, nor do I believe in it. Music gives me a connection to the neverworld buried deep in the mind land. I'm digging up pieces of myself and mapping things out. Exhaustion. Worms in my ears writhing, telling me it's too little, too late to make it within reason. Then agony consumes me. How preposterously dull to fill us with these urges, then just out of reach create the world of pleasures. Then there's those Nazi fucks dancing around from 4chan, acting like they are true patriots. Then you realize the racist origins, or all things American. It is a relief to realize the world is evil. It is not me that is crazy. It is not me that made my life this way. It is the world in all its cruelties. I would choose so many other planets, so many other lives, somewhere in the distant future. Maybe there's a better world. I doubt it will come in my lifetime, though. The regression factor is too great. It's all connected. Trump, Putin, Xi Jinping, Kim Jong Un. The way the world moves. Pale skins on a silk road, chopping off a dark skinned hand on a banana plantation. Dennis Prager, Nick Fuentes, Ben Shapiro, Alex Jones. Fear-mongers just like Adolf Hitler. Claims of a gay agenda, unborn massacre, white genocide. It's all ways to control. The arbitrary lines we draw between ourselves distinguish ourselves by vain mythos and mores. I would just like all of them to disappear. A world of raving lunatics is one of nightmares. The white god of Christianity calls out in hatred, bends the infidel non-whites to its will. We rave at the American oligarchs, those tech barons born from centuries of power. New York was a shithole, but it throbs in decadence. Those that own palaces own people. Symbols of power come in many forms. The cross, hot women, fancy things. And it all leads to the same place. The rat in the cage. How do you understand the world? Everything is a brain and everything is a cell. Atoms that interact form a system. The road to Ukraine from Russia is long by foot, a short flight between dropping bombs. How trivial it is to judge by color. But most of the times I can tell what race you are. The fear of a dark-skinned mongrel, the worship of a pale-skinned barbarian. Songs that imprint a signal in the circuitry, a calling to the cosmos that flecks insipid longing. Old light blooms on the distant horizons. We fall past the edge down into the deeps. I stick my cock into the computer screen. The porn of the internet is 90% of our collective lust, humanity's fascinations and depravities laid out in endless networks of downloadable pages. Another connection to life is another to death, as we are recycled in and out, thrust into these machinations with scarcely an inkling, programmable defenses as we cry out to the void. If only I had been born into paradise, not this wretched plane of suffering. The good and bad of social networks. Becoming an atheist freed me. All the guilt I felt growing up, everything about every little sexual urge, all the confusion disappeared. Carl Sagan is a poet. The way he weaves mysteries of the universe into the explainable reality of what's in front of us. It's truly a beautiful thing. It's like that lyric from that Neutral Milk Hotel song. How strange it is to be anything at all. What a beautiful line. So many songs full of beautiful things. I think it has been worth it being alive, despite the repulsive stupidity of so many humans. Maybe I'm being too cynical. There's many beautifully empathetic and intelligent humans. I suppose the issue is really who drives us forward. That is to say, whoever attains power. I've been under the thumb of putrid motherfuckers too long. Oppressive, hateful, fascist. It's alarming to realize the magnitude of their power. But it feels good to know there's others like me out there. Honeyed harmonies. Right after the bulrush ascends to the periphery of mind, I can still recall just last summer, all those heady days thinking of you, like a melody you played on my heartstrings, like a soft-shown verse spoke of morning dew. Everything that aches in our lost corners, all those possibilities of a better view, through life's small window as I dream of rolling hills, full of vibrant green, iridescent skies of blue. How could it all be just this simple? The sensitive ones that see all the world as new. Songs that lift us up as we sing, keep us flying on, ever longing. Letting the delusions dissipate. We don't push too hard anymore. Go with the flow being a great shimmering amoeba, floating above and around us at all times. But the flow claims us over powerlessness. Necessity dictates that struggling only weakens us. The only thing that compels us to work is the threat of starvation and poverty. I wouldn't mind my place in the world if I knew not of one better. The royals that ride private jets like cars, the royals with their islands. I worry about my imagined morality. In another life, if I was a prince, would I be who I am today? In the end, it doesn't matter. I dream of a cottage in a quiet place. As my lust fades, so does my childish desires. I dream of a comfortable bed, to sleep and sleep the world away. It's okay to be nothing, I guess. The world will go on regardless. So they all live down here in the slimy darkness, feeding off one another. When I was a kid, my mom would call me Chonkyaguri. It literally translates to tree frog, but when my mom would say it, she meant it as spoiled and disobedient child. See, there's an old folk tale that a frog boy disobeyed his frog mom, like constantly, so they were always fighting. But then the mom was dying. She asked him to bury her a certain way, and when she died, the son was so distraught. He was determined to finally obey her, but the rain washed her away. So it's a kind of tragedy or something. He never got to obey her and was full of regret. It was a lesson to disobedient sons or something. I guess I just found it annoying. I saw a frog while coming into work today, just sitting there in the rain. Frogs are quite grotesque creatures, oozing gaping maws that swallow indiscriminately. As the years go by, things feel more complicated, more jagged. The long patrol into the past is slimy as it eats itself alive. Untitled. I told myself if only I could have her, that perfect one, the one who fit the dimensions of my longing, then surely I would be satisfied. But then the one I thought was perfect was excruciating and the push and the pull was killing. And even when she met my expectations, I would become straying, haphazardly thrusting myself into passions, wishing for a connection to a node that seems like it could grant me something beyond myself. If only I was that person on the screen, surely then I'd be free. But every time it's right there in front of me, I see it for what it truly is, just a figment of vanity, just a straying from a consolated divinity, the peace I have come to time and time again. I am a straying from the original node, that original longing pervading all things. I am a screaming echo that peels away the present, sees humanity for all that it truly is, perpetual motion by the vibrato's edge, in tune with the memory of nothing. I am a product of war. No one is here by choice. What pleasures make life worth dealing with the terrible pains that come inevitably with living? Yet we cling so desperately to life once born. We fear death and seek meager comforts, even as we suffer daily. Even our moments are full of agony. What has kept me alive in this life are those moments of becoming nothing, sleep without dreaming, losing myself in a song. Damn, I lost my fucking train of thought. Interrupted by drunk Marines. Fucking hate this job. Fucking hate having to give even a single second. I'm so sick of being here. I don't even know why I'm writing. Remember that racist Marine calling drivers kimchi drivers? Just making up slurs as he goes? Bunch of imperial fucks. But here I am, the son of a white soldier all the same. By the dusk's late light. It's raining really hard today. Thunder and lightning was going off. Went to Busan with C on Saturday. Filipino hookers on Texas Street stared at us. I'm really tired today. I woke up at 4 p.m. and couldn't go back to sleep until like 8 p.m. and then only slept a few minutes. Had a bunch of nightmares in a short time. Then I had to get up and go to work. On my way to see mom to eat before dinner, I remembered the nightmares. the house in Washington, and demon mothers. Why do so many dreams revolve around the horror of filial piety and interpersonal relationships? If I could cut the cord of empathetic condoling from me, I wonder if I would be much happier, living as a sun-drenched, dizzy runaway towards fields of blood-spotted flower beds, eating strange fruits hanging black from trees, digging a hole deeper than the greatest deeps. Is that the name of the motherland, the home of the free? The gaslighting bitch robbing us of our needs? You'll feel better soon, dude. I've been keeping a journal of sorts. Well, it's just an app for tracking moods. I use voice to text memos to write about my day, and you choose from 5 emoticons for your mood. I was somewhat surprised after doing this for a few weeks, that most of the times my mood is exactly in the middle. I thought I was more up and down than that. I guess in many ways I still think of myself as a moody teen. But now I'm turning 30 in less than a year. I look back at this past decade and I'm blown away. All the changes that I've gone through, all the ways the world has changed. And I feel incredibly lucky to be where I am, to be given the opportunity to come back to Korea and live here as an adult. Almost half of my life in the States and half here. I find myself to still be moody sometimes, and I feel ashamed of the times I feel out of control. But the roller coaster dips and highs come less and less. I find the stability of quietness to be comforting. I look forward to whatever my 30s hold. I feel like no matter what happens, I'll be able to face it. Savage times. AR-15 goes rat-a-tat-tat as school children scream to no one. Israelis and Pakistanis dying in the desert heat, their sun-baked soil swallowing colonized meat. Broken teeth scatter the alleyway, bleeding Frenchmen spitting up blood in Hongdae. Bitch boy gets fucked up the ass in a prison cell. Elder Smith slaps his child bride with the Book of Mormon. Oceans of blood spill endlessly from slaughterhouses. Flickering temptations flit on a darkly screen. Roaming traffickers slobbering over their human slaves tug their chains as they commodify cruelty of the flesh. A spiraling abyss of misery and suffering, orifices torn open from the earliest of age. Flower boys dance madly atop a tottering table as old men grin wolfishly, their razor teeth gnawing fat stogies. Cthulhu's dread howl roars from the Kremlin, threatening another frozen earth given to the war gods. Every century, another forbidden chord hearkens our doom. The teeming mobs grow ever wilder and more incensed. Our flags of desire mean naught in this unfeeling expanse. The sky lights up one last time and all of humanity's fury blinks out. Just like that. Being a grown-ass adult takes a lot of fucking work. I was watching Dark Crystal, Age of Resistance, and the hero said something that really resonated with me towards the end of the first season at the climax. I'd rather stand here and die fighting than keep running. Something along those lines. I can't be bothered to look up the exact quote, but yeah, it was a great line. The show is much better than the original movie, with its standard 80s sexist undertones. That's the way I feel lately. Fucking supervisor touched me again. I've said so many times not to, done everything right. I'm getting ready to sue if I have to. I've never done anything like this before, escalating complaints to this level. But I'm ready to fight and whatever that brings. I can't live like this anymore, staying quiet about microaggressions, racism, and bullying, all the bullshit. I'd rather be ostracized or even killed than be this world's bitch until I die. I can't wait to die. If I was a spirit looking down on Earth and some great god showed me what life would be and gave me a choice to be born or not, I would not have chosen this life. A lifetime of trivial mundanities suffocated by suffering, hate mongers and danger and catastrophe swarming, every moment and every direction filled with this excruciating pain. I know that there are moments of pleasure which intersperse the timeline of my life, but they are too far and few between, meager morsels of joy. How awful it is that every time I've chosen death, brought the blade to my wrist, something has stayed my hand. That is perhaps the most egregious curse of life. I know that it is suffering and pain and hate, that I truly wish to die, that I see no real purpose to this, and the pleasure I seek is fleeting and unsatisfying. But I've been conditioned into believing, through instinct and indoctrination, that this is meant to be. Hansy. For over a decade, I wanted to cut off my cock. Not a sex change, really. I just hated being sexual. I hated having this unbearable urge in me, a constant ache that would swell into excruciating need. Then, when I started having sex, I was just so disappointed. Getting high was far better. Real sex didn't even compare to masturbation. But I still felt the need to entangle with beauty. The validation I craved from another, to be accepted as I am, came from a deep hatred for myself, these hands that had done so much wrong. And now, even though I don't believe in karma, I see it happening to myself. The filth I saw myself as in my youth manifested in so many men around me. And they won't fucking stop. Their fingers like writhing, slimy worms. Their words, wet tongues pushing my eardrum. Fucking creeps. I carry my regret with me every day, but even so, I fight for my own bodily autonomy. Shackled from birth. How do we do this so long? Study at school since we were kids. Only summer months for breaks, then a lifetime of working until retirement. I can hardly believe it looking back. My whole life I've been doing this, giving my time for the system that serves me and makes me a servant. I feel that I have so much more to offer, and the world has so much more to give. If only we let ourselves go. But that's the problem. Why is there a select few that are privileged? Because the system requires slavery to maintain itself. If everyone was a king, then no one would be. Is this right? I don't think so. So then what do we need? More balance. I don't need to be a fucking king, but I've done my time. Antifa inspires me. I'll be honest, I've been pretty ignorant most of my life, only absorbing what I needed to get good grades, parroting what those in my immediate surroundings said, trying my best to fit in. But there is something inside me that is different. I also wear it on my face with the shape of my eyes. A few years ago, I got tired of listening to those around me. The things they said stopped making sense a long time ago. So I started reading and learning and keeping up with the news. I'm a limited person and certainly no political genius, but I know enough to realize how fucked up things are, and how fucked up they could be. The forum of ideas is an intricate web that connects us. We think it doesn't affect us, but in truth, everything ripples out until they become great big tidal waves. I am tired of the straight white Christian tyrants that rule us. Fascism threatens us at every side, so we learn the ways of violence to minimize it. We learn that armed minorities are harder to oppress, that the system was inherently built against us. The Black Bloc is a tragic response to the times. Even if we all shall die, it is our destiny to fight. Dying as a rebel is better than the torture of servility. Shadows dancing on the other side of the veil. We let the world and its woes wash over us. The red fire that comes and kills us is now just a dying orange glow trapped by black embers. We sing out to the stars and they unleash their love upon us. The raindrops contain their minuscule universes. They explode out in tiny pools of chaotic miracles. Weeping eyes fade out into yearning skies. Pixels swirl as subatomic particles coagulate. Things beyond individual comprehension move their cogs. New realms of thought and being are created in each moment. I am an island ever searching for your warm gaze. Contained in the soft-shelled egg of comforting dark, we break out and are blinded and are in so much pain. Called out to the Judeo-Christian God of all existence, received back a prayer of riddles and never-ending nonsense. I have a garden of golden roses blooming from the tightness of my breast. It seeds a generation of fluttering dandelion dust morphing into black songbirds. Neon lights bleed the dirty streets royal purple as deep bass rumble shakes everything. A hidden ocean crawls up the itching veins behind our dry eyeballs. Then I realize that I am right here, in this moment. typing out my hopes and dreams for a better world, a lamentation for the suffering of myself and those that know me.